Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Mahr's featured product promo. Today we're going to talk about the MarCal 30 EWRi integrated wireless depth gauge. I'm your presenter, George Schuetz, Director of Precision Gauges at Mahr in Providence, Rhode Island. And if you have any questions during the presentation, use the chat feature and I will respond to your question after the webinar by email. Today we're going to learn about and look at the MarCal 30 EWRi portable depth gauge. We'll see what it is, some of its features, why we may need it, some technical data, accessories that can be used with the depth gauge, some applications, and we'll talk about it being our featured product. Now, you know, Mahr has a wide variety and a full portfolio of digital and wireless hand tools, whether it be digital calipers, depth gauges, digital indicators, or digital micrometers. They're all feature-packed and modern, all high quality, and meant to be used out on the shop floor. And they are at prices lower or lower than many of our competitors. And we're the leader, I think, in low cost and transparent data collection. Plus, we have the lowest cost receiver, and free MarCal wireless integrated software, which all make our wireless products, I think, some of the best value out there. So this complete line of hand tools includes 185 innovative products, and 68 of them are integrated wireless, whether it be digital calipers, digital depth gauges, digital indicators, or digital micrometers. You can see we have a wide variety of not only standard product, but also specialty calipers and specialty micrometers for those unique measuring applications. Now here's our full line of MarCal depth gauges. And you can see I have a broad product here of handheld gauges for lots of different applications. Starting with our featured product, the 30 EWRi, and its wired brother, which has the integrated wireless as part of it. It comes in a 6, 12, or 20-inch versions. We have a mini 30 EWRi that's pocket size and portable, plus other versions of depth gauges with different types of contacts or hooks on them that allow you to get and measure grooves and so forth within your part. Plus, we have a depth gauge that has interchangeable contacts on it that allows for ball contacts or hook contacts or edge contacts in a wired or wireless version, all the way up to 20 inches in depth, that make these great universal depth gauges for virtually any depth application that you may have. Now, the MarCal 30 EWRi has lots of depth applications. They come in with different contacts available. Most of them are purely for depth gauges, like the 30 EWR with its pointed contact. You can get a small or large bridge on it. But there are other applications where we can interchange contact points, allowing us to get into various above or below grooves within the part that we're measuring. Some of our depth gauges have hooks on them, so if you need to get an inside shoulder on a depth or an upper shoulder, or the length of that groove, these types of depth gauges are ideal for those applications. And with our depth gauge with the interchangeable contacts, we have the hooks, we have extended ball contacts, we can get into small drilled hole within a depth, close to an edge if needed, and these contacts are all interchangeable and can be used for lots of different depth application. There's even a large measuring bridge up to 400 millimeters that allows you to span large diameters or large grooves and still use the depth gauge with great accuracy and performance. Now specifically, let's talk about the 30 EWRi. This is the depth gauge with integrated wireless. It's IP67. It has the reference. It has an interchangeable pin which can be removed, and other versions or contacts put in its place. And like I said, this comes up to goes up to a capacity up to 20 inches. The one for this promotion is our 0 to 6 inch, our most common 30 EWRi. Now let's take a quick look at some of the features of the MarCal 30 EWRi. We have the large contrast digital display with a digit size of 11 millimeters. Our small contact is 2 millimeters in diameter, but this can be replaced. It's simply a pin, and it can be made longer if needed, or bent, or specialty pins can be created and be used. We have a locking screw that locks the slide into position. There's a lock function, a key lock, which prevents the user from accidentally pressing the 0 and re-zeroing the gauge by accident. Of course, the 30 EWRi has the integrated wireless data interface, so that it's built in and it's transparent to the user. We have a very easy to use and intuitive handling of the setup functions by a simple to use menu guidance with arrows that guide the user through the various functions. The depth gauge is IP67 rated, which means it's impervious to various liquids and dust, which we'll talk about in a minute. And all our calipers have the reference system built in, which means they can be turned on either by moving the slide or pressing the on key, and they always remember where the last reference or 0 point was made, even if the power is switched off. So this is the perfect depth gauge for small depths. It's easy to use, it's handy, it's practical, ideal for more mobile use in production, control, and assembly, and it's for measuring small depths and bores and grooves. We'll talk about some of the specific features of reference system. Is probably the most important one. The reference system always maintains at 0. And it's really always sampling at a very slow rate the slide. So if you move the slide, it'll turn the caliper or depth gauge on, and it remembers that last 0 point that you made. So there's no need to set 0 every time you use it. If you set it once, you can forget it, and it's going to be there. Like I say, it's IP class 67, which means it's dust tight, and it's protected against temporary immersion in water. So this means it's dust tight and protected against you drop it into a bucket of coolant, you can wipe it off, and you're still going to be ready to use. It's going to be impervious to those types of accidents. So it's ideal to be used at the point of manufacture or in a quality control inspection area. It has nice large displays. As you can see, it's easy to read, and the locking feature lets you know that the 0 button and whatever other buttons that you determine are going to be locked out from accidental use. So it prevents the operator from accidentally re-zeroing the unit. All MarCal calipers and digital products have extremely long battery life. Typical battery service is over 3 years. Of course, if you use it in the wireless mode all the time, that's going to be reduced slightly, but typically 2 more years than a typical depth gauge. With all our products, with all Mahr products, we build the accuracy and the performance into them. So all the guideways are lapped and very smooth. And it's one of those products where you can pick it up and you can feel the built-in performance, how well the slide moves. It's just a great feeling product, even when it's in use. Of course, we have the Mahr Connect integrated wireless, where the wireless transmission is basically an add-on of what a cable might be for another digital indicator. And by eliminating the cable, it just makes it a very easy to use and comfortable product for doing data acquisition. And this is all done through our secure data transmission features with the integrated wireless. We have a unique type of data transmission, which not only signals when the data is received, but when the caliper or depth gauge is paired up with MarCal, it locks into a unique data code that has to be seen and recognized by MarCal for data transmission. So there's no chance of cross-talking or using or losing the data transmission because it's a secure transfer method. It's a very, like I said, it's a very comfortable product to feel and to use. You know, when you're using it, it feels nice and smooth when it slides, but the size of it with its large display and the way that it fits into your hand makes it a very easy to use and trouble-free handling, and therefore you're going to get more reliable measuring results. So what types of measurements can we make with the 30 EWRi? Well, you know, you have your typical depth measurement where you're using the top reference for your surface and you're measuring the depth of that dimension that's going down. Or you can use it to get the difference or the height differences between two depths by zeroing on one location and then moving to the second, so you have that difference type of measurement. Now, how do you use a 30 EWRi? Let's take a look at some of the typical ways that we want to use the caliper or the depth gauge. So of course, you're going to first of all set up the depth gauge for the proper inch metric capabilities and anything else that you might want to set the depth gauge with through our simple menu function. It's very easy to follow, very easy to get into, and it's very easy to change the units. So once we have the units set, we're going to start getting ready to make our measurements. We want to make sure that we clean the workpiece off, and we're going to then take a look at the gauge itself, clean the guideways, clean the reference anvil and the contact point. You know, every measurement that we make is a process. It will make sure that the instrument and the parts that are going to be measuring are clean and the proper condition to make a reliable measurement. Then we're going to select a good flat surface to set the reference for the 30 EWRi. A surface plate or a large gauge block will help in setting up the depth gauge. Now, I want to make sure when we put the depth gauge on its surface, it's really square to the surface. You don't want any little angle or offset in the depth gauge itself. It has to be square, and once it's square, we're going to push the sensitive contact down until it locks in onto the surface. And once the gauge is square and locked in, we're going to press the 0 button to zero out the depth gauge. Now we're going to follow the same type of procedure when we're going and make our measurement on the part. We're going to put the bridge across the surface as the reference area, making sure that it's not tilted or at an angle. We're going to make sure that it's secure and in place, and then we're going to bring the measuring point into the contact at the surface. And once you have a contact there, you can pull it out, or you can use the hold function and then read the depth of the part that we're measuring. So it's very easy to use, but it's very important to ensure that we have a clean part and our measuring technique is proper for the dimension that we're going to be making. So we have this great product to measure depth, but it does have the integrated wireless built into it. And data collection is becoming a growing area for part documentation, process control, process improvement, and gauge tracking. The nice thing about integrated wireless is that the data transmission is transparent to the operator. There's no add-on modules. The gauge is really part of the measuring routine, as is the data collection. And there's a single battery, and there's no add-on modules that have two batteries within the operation. So really, it becomes a very cost-competitive way of doing data collection. Now, with Mahr's data integrated products, you just need three items. You need the product itself, you need our wireless receiver, the iStick, and you need free MarCom software. And this gets you into collecting data or transferring the data to a third-party measuring system. So wireless devices are great because they offer a lot of convenience. You know, in the past, we have many products doing data collection, and each one of them had to have its own cable. If you're doing multiple inputs, there were multiplexers and so forth to get all that data connected, and it became a very cluttered and possibly messy way of collecting data. But with integrated wireless, we have no cable clutter, a single battery to work with, no expensive add-on modules, no expensive receiver. So the data collection is easy, it's clean, and it's transparent to the user, all with Mahr Connect and our integrated wireless system. Now, Mahr Connect is available with MarCom Professional Software 5.3. It's free. It can be loaded off of the Mahr.com website. It's a very powerful tool for collecting data. It allows you to take wired product, wireless products, or add-on modules and bring that data into a number of different tools, whether it be an Excel or a Microsoft-based program, through a QStat program, we can send data to third-party software. We have a electronic or a soft mux box which can transfer data into a third-party software. So this provides a very easy way for getting data from our hand tools to your data collection system. And we keep improving the performance of MarCom and the hand tools, and we're doing things to make it more powerful as part of the data collection process. One of the ways of doing that is to have a identification number of the gauge come out with the data information that's being transferred. So we can send out a serial number with the data. So this allows for recording of not only the data, but also the time it was collected, what gauge it was, and when you know what gauge it was, you know that that gauge is under control. It has some calibration routines behind it, and now they can really document that whole measuring process. MarCom also allows us to remotely control the instrument, so we can send in tolerances to the product if it has it. We can lock out various features to prevent the operator from accidentally pressing the 0 button, for example. All those features are standard with MarCom. So you can see during the MarCom setup, you have the ability to put in a part number and a serial number for that gauge. And all this again becomes part of the way to link or tie together that complete inspection process, knowing the gauge, knowing the serial number. It's all collected, and it's a very good way of documenting and the valid calibration of that instrument. Plus, we have the two-way communications, so you can see that you can use MarCom. There's windows on here to set up the device parameters. You can lock the various parts of the depth gauge, and all those features are part of MarCom. And you can set up what data transfer is to be set up with the Excel tables, the description, the serial number, the part number, the date and the time, along with the measured value, are all part of that data stream that comes out of the product. And every now and then an accidental data transfer can be sent. We now have the feature to reset the last data transfer in Excel. So if we've made a mistake, we can remove that last information part from the data collection process. So we've talked a lot of things about the MarCal 30 EWRi today. We talked about its features, accessories, how to use it, why wireless data collection is really the way in the future to go to collection of data, because it's easy to use, and really with the capabilities of the 30 EWRi, it's really the choice for depth gauges that can be used at the point of manufacture. This is our featured products, and it's a very great value. So why Mahr? Mahr has a broad product range for industrial metrology. We have the application competence to support you. We're here to take your phone calls and answer your questions. I think our wireless hand tool portfolio will help you reach the requirements of Industry 4.0. With featured products like the 30 EWRi, we have promotional prices that provide I think the highest quality and help you achieve the best value for the product. And after this this webinar, we're going to provide you a link to the recording in case you want to share this, and a PDF of the product, the featured product that we're promoting this month. And our featured product is the 30 EWRi. There's special promotion pricing which lasts until the end of 2022. The product promotion applies both to the digital depth gauge itself, the 30 EWRi, and the iStick receiver. Plus, you'll get a free Mahr mug if you purchase the product through the end of the month. So I think this is a very high value. It's probably the best priced digital depth gauge out there, with the price of the iStick and free MarCom software. I think it offers the greatest value for getting yourself started in a wireless data transfer and data collection capabilities for making your depth gauge measurements. So thank you for your attention today. If you have any questions, you can email me, or you could have used the chat feature. We're always here to help you with any questions. So feel free to contact me, and we'll make sure that we get you the information that you need. Thank you again for your attention. It's been great having the ability to provide this product information to you.